welcome to Piscataway. This is Wednesday, November 6th, and we're on the air live. If you'd like to speak with me or my guests, please call us at any time during this hour-long program at 732-562-2305. Our guests tonight are Piscataway Township Council Vice President Gabrielle Cahill and Piscataway Township's Director of Recreation, John Tierney. Gabrielle Cahill is our Township Council Vice President. She was first elected in 2008 to an at-large seat on the Township Council and was re-elected in 2012 and 2016. Gabrielle serves on the Public Safety Committee and the Personnel Committees, and we want to welcome her back to the show. Welcome back, Gabrielle. John Tierney is our Director of Recreation, a graduate of University of Nebraska. He's been part-time for the Recreation Department in 1999 and then full-time in 1997. He's worked his way up the ladder and has led the department since 2010. He's a volunteer basketball coach, also the president of the Millsex Sports Club, and a member of the National and New Jersey Recreation Parks Association. And welcome to the show, John.
Thank you, Mayor.
Well, we have a lot of exciting news to talk about tonight and for the month, and I think the word's already out from what I understand. It's starting to go viral. But I think what we would do is, since we spoke about this last month, that I know a lot of people look at the video feed over with the construction councilwoman of the community center, but they really haven't seen the inside, and except with some of the stuff that some of the pictures that were taken on municipal Facebook site goes on. So I thought what we were going to do tonight was we're going to take a walk through the building with John and I, like not a virtual tour, a tour. Right there, so people will actually get a chance to see what the inside of the building looks like. So, but before we get to that, so Councilwoman, you had a question about one of the parks or something?
Well, we're talking about the community center and things that we're doing in town, and I know that we have some future stuff going on in our parks, and I thought it would be a good idea to talk and let our residents know what our plans are for those parks.
Yeah, and John, I think Henry Interstein, our municipal landscape architect, is designing the 4 parks that we're going to reconstruct this coming spring in 2020, and the 4 are?
Yes, he's redesigning Wynwood Park. He's going to redesign North Stelton Park, which is by Fellowship Farm School, Byrne Park, and the last one is Nova Ukraine Park, which is over by Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. Now, the Byrne Park obviously was named after Jeffrey Byrne, who was a Lake Nelson resident who was killed in action over in Vietnam. That is normally the way historically we've had that set up in a red, white, and blue, and I think we're going to do a little bit more something special over there this time with some additional flags and things like that and the new playground equipment. Yeah,
we're going to redo the entire area around the memorial stone with some new flags and some plantings. The playground will be designed to seem very American. It'll be very patriotic, and I think it's going to be a very good look for that playground and that park.
And which will work out. And I know the residents are looking forward to that. And that's going to coincide. Councilwoman will reconstruct Woodland Avenue right there, the street,
right.
so,
Yep.
which will all dovetail into there.
That'll be nice.
And then Wynwood Park, we're going to change that, and I think we're going to add a couple of parking spots over there too as part of that.
We're going to add some parking over there. We're going to put in a completely new playground. It's going to be a lot bigger than what we've got. That currently is our oldest playground. And
yeah, actually, that was put in 1994, I think it was 96, because that was when the Woodfield development was built.
Right, it was done when the park was developed after the construction of the houses. So that's going to be a totally different design, and it's going to be much bigger and much more user-friendly for everybody.
And we had just this past year added a basketball court over there.
Correct, and that's gotten a lot of use. I've been watching just to see how many people are out there at times, and they're getting out there and playing on it.
It's a nice area because you have a full tennis court, you have a basketball court, you have some ball fields where some of the rec programs folks use that, and then a nice walking path for the residents in that general area.
It goes through the entire park. It loops around. It's a well-designed park, and the playground upgrade is going to just cap it off.
Yeah. And then last but not least, as you spoke about the Nova Ukraine, which is really like a pocket park. That's the terminology right there.
Yeah, it's a little tiny park. It's what we would call a neighborhood park back many years ago, and it was designed just for that neighborhood. So it's always had a little smaller playground structure. Again, we'll design it to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more active play for everybody, and there's going to be some technological features to it, just like all our other parks, where you can use your iPhone and it can give you things to do in the park, games to play.
Oh,
and
that's
it
great.
and it records the data to a centralized company, and then they send us monthly reports on it.
Okay. Well, a small little park like that, typically it's the people that use it are obviously the people that live immediately
That's right.
there.
That's
And that's
right.
one of the things where we have 26 municipal parks in town, that a lot of them are neighborhood parks such as that.
And that park, there's been, I think, a turnover in the residency over
Generational
there,
changeover.
and I think we've got a lot more kids over there now than we've had in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for that to get a little upgrade.
It ebbs and flows.
Well, yeah, right. But I think since the township really invested in redoing these parks, you can see just the amount of people that use it. A park is just a wonderful thing.
And that was one of the biggest attributes that Money Magazine said, that because of the parks, availability of parks nearby, and in Piscataway Township is part of the 10-minute walk program, that you're 10 minutes away from a local park.
Right.
So we fit the terminology, and we're signed up as one of those towns.
Yes, we are, and that's a great thing that we can have everybody in town that close to a park.
And that doesn't happen too often, even in Middlesex County, that doesn't happen
Right.
too often.
Right.
So for all the criticism, whatever, about the municipality in general, that's one of the things that we do a very good job of with the parks and things. So
Yes.
let's get into the meats and potatoes. So for the next, I believe, 30 minutes, we're going to have a pre-taped show here that we're going to go in, and I know the councilwoman can have a sip of water there while we're looking. So let's cue it up, and let's go on the grand tour of Piscataway Township Community Center. Well, I want to welcome everybody for the first time inside view of the Piscataway Community Center. Most people have seen it from the live streaming pole outside, the actual exterior construction. So we're actually, John Tierney, the Recreation Director, and I are going to take you on a walking preview of what's going on inside the building today. So one of the biggest questions that we're getting downtown Hall, is the building color going to be blue? The answer is no. This is exterior waterproofing, and what you can see right now there, the construction workers are putting the brackets up on the exterior right now for what ultimately is going to be the facade of the building, the stone that's going to be delivered from Germany come January. Probably around sometime before Thanksgiving, the interior windows are all going to be installed and the exterior windows installed, and they're expecting to have the building buttoned up so they can run the heat to finish the rest of their work. So let's stroll through the new community center. So now we're in the grand entrance of the community center here. The flooring's going to have a terrazzo floor with the seal of Piscataway Township in here. And behind me is going to be the area, correct me if I'm wrong, John, is going to be the check-in booth for everybody to come in.
Yes, Mayor, this will be the area where everybody will sign in when they come in or register to become a member. And we'll have information screens up there with all the different information for the township, or the community center, what's going on. And this will be the first thing you're going to see when you walk in.
And obviously the ductwork will not be here, it'll be elevated. So as you can see in here in the building, they're installing the HVAC ductwork as we speak. So over to our left, to your right, and we're going to show it, is what's a community center without a cafe?
That's true.
Right? So we're actually going to have a teaching kitchen over there, and we're going to go take a look at that in a few minutes over there, which is going to have a large pizza oven too.
Pizza oven, it's got everything. We scoped it
I
out
want to
well.
know whether we're going to be able to have extra cheese and sausage on the pizza.
Mayor, just for you, we have extra cheese and sausage.
Okay, all right. I got to clog those arteries.
Well, then you get to go to the fitness center and take
That's
care
right,
of
and
them.
we'll go to that too. So this is actually the teaching kitchen right here. So behind us, we're the whole kitchen. So obviously they're fitting everything out now. And in front of us will be the whole cafe area for seating out here. So obviously there's going to be wall-to-wall windows out here so people will be able to see outside. There's going to be a lot of visuals in here. One of the things as part of being the Cultural Arts Center, we're going to have a lot of paintings from local artists that we're going to have here in the building throughout the year, and exhibitions some which we normally do over in the municipal chamber, but we're also going to have some over here too. So get ready to eat a feast over here after you're done working out in the morning. So now we're going to go to the aquatic center. Well, right now, John Tierney and I are actually 2 feet in the water right here.
Yes, we are.
And this is going to be the children's zero entry pool, and that means anybody who's wheelchair bound will be able to come into this pool. And also, there's going to be dump buckets, I believe, in here.
Yes.
So it goes from 0 to, I believe, just a little shy under 4 feet
Yeah, just
deep.
a little bit under 4.
Under 4 feet deep down here, and I believe this is where the dump buckets are going to be
Correct.
down in this area. So down here, so this is, the kids are going to really love this area out here. So I actually might come in with a beach chair and sit here myself.
That's not a bad idea, Mayor.
No.
Do that.
So, but we have something for everybody in this aquatic center. So we're going to take a quick look. We also have over here next to the children's zero entry pool, we have a 3-lane lap pool. So you have to visualize this is a 3-lane lap pool here. Obviously, it goes down at the far end is almost a little bit under 6 feet deep. So if you want to, flip over and go and make the other lap. So, but this is in theory, as you can see, there's steps here also for somebody to walk down. There will obviously be railings down there too. But this is another system. All 3 of these pools are run on separate filtering system. That's one of the things that we learned down in Virginia Beach.
Yes.
That they had theirs on one system, so if they had a problem, they had to shut everything down.
Shut the whole aquatic center down. We can keep pools running individually.
Yes, which allows flexibility for when you have to clean a pool. You're not shutting the entire operation down. So typically this will be really for warm-up laps for the swim meets, or seniors want to, adults want to do laps here while the kids will be over in the zero entry. Okay, now John Tierney's actually going to speak a little bit about the competition pool. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mayor. This is our full-size competition swimming pool that will be used for swim meets.
Yeah.
We can use it for practice swimming, teaching lessons. It can be used for just about anything. And the nicest part of this pool is going to be, again, that it's self-contained. So if we need to shut it down, we don't affect the rest of the aquatic center. And we've got bleacher seating on the side that can sit over 200 people, plus we have seating for 12 wheelchairs as well.
Yes.
So everybody knows the aquatic center is fully handicap accessible for everybody.
And one of the additions, it's deep down at the deep end, it's deep enough for scuba diving training.
Yes, it's 9 feet, 9 inches down at the other end, so you could train scuba diving if they wanted to have that as part of it.
So this whole area right now, you're seeing the construction workers are putting insulation, the drywall up right now. What's unique about this roof, and we'll get some pictures of it, there's small pinhole perforations in the roof, and that's for noise reduction right here, because building this size, you're going to have a lot of noise.
Yes, you have a lot of feedback and a lot of noise bouncing around it.
And one of the other things is the wall to our back right here, that's where going to be the big flat screen scoreboard is.
Yeah, the scoreboard will be there, and it'll be digitally synced to the timers on the platform here. So once they start, it starts right up. It'll have finishes and everything else on it. It's going to be one of the nicest aquatic centers around.
If I correct me if I'm wrong, the scoreboard is simulating if you were at an aquatic center on a college campus for swim.
Correct.
NCAA swim
it
meets.
would meet NCAA guidelines for scoreboards.
Yeah. The other key thing is the starting blocks are going to be down at the deep end. And the blocks actually have the touchpad, so when they
Once the weight comes off, the clock starts.
Clock starts. And another interesting thing we're going to have here is we're going to have a down-facing camera where you'll be able to watch the swim meet actually facing down, actually seeing the water. So, and you might be able to stream that live too.
Yeah, the intention is we're going to do a live stream service when we want to, from the down-facing camera and from our side view cameras as well. So people, when their high school's here swimming and parents that can't get there, they can just have it on their phone, have it on their laptop or whatever, and watch it from their office.
And they'll be able to see the scoreboard and a split screen
Yep.
too, so, which is going to be very neat. So, but one of the things that we did learn from going to Virginia Beach, they strongly recommend it, had they had to do it over again, is to put more drain piping in here. And that's one of the things that we added in. We added in additional floor drains here around the aquatic area and the locker room area.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the key things we learned, because we saw in their brand new facility, they didn't get great drainage in some spots. we knew right away we didn't want to have that issue, so we doubled what we would have needed.
And the significance of that is because we don't want somebody slipping and falling.
Correct.
Yeah, so now we're going to walk over. We're going to head over to the gym, but we're going to take you downstairs where the filtering system is. So right now we're in the basement of the filtration system for all 3 pools here. So these large tanks, and behind John Tierney and I, are the chlorine tanks, and then also the hot water, the heaters for the heating system for the pools. So obviously some of the equipment's in here now, but this is what it's going to look like. This is also the piping for all 3 pools end up here. So if we ever had to drain the pools, it comes here to be pumped out and to be discharged. So right hand, this is going to be a beehive of a lot of piping, a lot of tanks down here, a lot of equipment right here.
All the mechanical to run these pools.
Yeah.
It's going to be very full down here.
And this is going to be the most state-of-the-art pool system here probably in the state, not just because it's new, but because of the way it was set up.
We went out and did the proper work. We've got one of the best companies in the country building it for us.
Yeah.
Can't not be state-of-the-art now.
Yeah, I see. So now we're going to go back up and we're going to go through the electronics room. So obviously, John and I are in a mechanical room here. You can see these very large tanks for the hot water system here, and obviously it's going to require a lot of hot water in this building. New Jersey American Water is going to be very happy about that. But with that being said, you could see all the mechanics. If you're an HVAC or plumber, this is your delight to see all this piping in here. So this is going to be like a nerve center for hot water in the buildings. So this large panel back here, you're probably saying this is something out of the Transformers movie. This actually happens to be the transfer switch for the backup generator. That's, in a case of an emergency. One of the critical components of why we were building the community center is to have an official evacuation site. Right now we have the Senior Citizen Center, and this is going to complement this as an evacuation center. So if an emergency like another Hurricane Sandy or Hurricane Irene, this whole facility will be on backup generator if it kicks in, when it kicks in.
Right, and our backup generators can run the entire facility.
Yeah.
Every outlet, every pump, every computer can run.
So
we're set up.
All the pools, all the fitness center, everything, so it's going to be blinking like nothing was happening. Right. So, and that was the whole thought, that if we ever had a state of emergency, and we're going to get into a little bit about the OEM with this building as we go further through the building, but you can see the size of this transfer switch alone, and this whole room is just for the transfer
switches.
Transfer switch. And we're going to take a quick peek outside the door. The pad for the generator was poured. And the generator is going to be delivered within the next 2 weeks. So we're in the locker rooms. Are starting to take shape.
They are.
As we can see right here. We'll have women's, men's, and then a family room locker room.
Correct. And each of the women's and men's are each actually divided, where they have a section that can be boys and girls, women and men. So functionally you have 5 locker rooms, but there are only 3 actual locker room designs.
Yeah, and that was the thought, to give a lot of flexibility
Right.
to do that. So because that you never know things. We wanted to allow most flexibility with the locker rooms, because once the walls go up and everything, it's a little harder changing your mind.
We're not changing them then.
But this is it. But this is probably, it looks, a little background here. As you can see, they're doing all the studs and everything, right? The metal studs here. So probably in about another month, you'll start seeing insulation and drywall going on.
Yeah, it'll actually start to look like a locker room.
That's right. So now that the locker room's here, people get changed in the locker rooms, and they either go to the pool or you go play in the gym. So we're going into the gym now. We're here in the great gym, John. And you want to explain away?
Sure. For me, this is the best part of the whole center, the gym. It's going to be a completely state-of-the-art facility. We have a wood floor that's going to go in, again, township logo in the middle. Yeah. And it'll be designed for basketball, volleyball, anything you can do indoor we'll do in here, we'll have set up for. Plus we're going to have wrestling mats in here so we can do wrestling in here. We'll have the ability to configure the gym in 4 different ways. Full-size gym, 2 half gyms, and if we even wanted to, we could come down the middle and do half and half on the sides.
Well, so the other thing we can also have karate training too, right, with the mats. So there'll be seating from 200 plus. I think it's 250 over here off to the side from when basketball matches or wrestling. Interesting though, we're going to show you a shot later on that the actual footings for the volleyball nets are actually in in the concrete right now, the flooring, they'll just pop out and put it
Yeah,
in.
you just slide the post in, it locks down, and your net's set. You don't have to tighten it.
Yeah, and then as you can see, they're installing the drywall and insulation currently right now here in this large greater area. This allows for the most flexible. There's actually the big I-beam going across is the divider.
Right.
One of the things that when we were down in Virginia Beach is that they didn't have a mechanical one.
Yeah, they had manual divider that they had to mess with all the time.
Yeah, so ours is flexible. It's both manual and mechanical. So which allows a lot of flexibility. So somebody's not going to be pulling on their arm muscle.
It's not like when you're on stage and you have to close the curtain.
Yeah.
We won't have that. We'll just have
But
push a button.
And this is also, and the ceiling up here, this also has the perforated holes for the acoustics to the noise reduction.
Right. Reduces all the noise in here.
So over here along this back wall are separate rooms, and we're going to go over them afterwards, but now we're going to go upstairs to the 3-lane running track. So we're upstairs on top of the gym in the middle of the running track.
Right.
It's a 3-lane track. And then off to the side behind us is actually a rest area, and some other things are going to be going on there. Haven't figured that out yet, but you know.
We'll have maybe some exercise balls or things like that up here that people can limber up before they go out on the track, before running or jogging on the track.
So as you can see, there's a lot of wall space up here. So the thought is that we're going to have a lot of pictures and maybe of all the athletes here in Piscataway, or
I think that's a good idea
Yeah.
for up here, so everybody sees it.
you know,
Gives
something
everybody a
related
goal.
to Piscataway. Yeah, like goals. So you're going to have a lot of pictures up here, and seating area up here too. But this is why the basketball gym is being used. This will be the running track above here. So I think what we're going to do now, since we're up here, we're going to go outside to the roof. We're going to take a walk on the roof, and you can see a lot of the HVAC systems in the background, all the ductwork that are being installed. The interesting fact about this building, when it was designed, we designed it for in the future to install solar arrays on top of the exterior roofs here right now. Obviously, we didn't have the money at this point with the design to do it, but however, it's here, it's engineered structurally to handle whatever the weight load is for the solar capacity up there. But if you could see, this is over the main portion is a large area, and as well as on top of the aquatic roof and on the gym roof too, off there. And you could see the downspouts where are going to all be tied in to the main drains to take it outside.
Yeah, everything's going to pump out and away from the building.
Yep. So when we were in the transfer room a little while ago, that's the transfer room for the backup generator pad right here. So this is where the large generators are going to go. So if there's an emergency out here, and this is also some mechanical out here, like chillers that are going to be out here, so the pads that are poured. Okay, John, what room are we in now?
We're now in the fitness center, but this is going to be as good as any health club you can go in. 7,000 square feet just in this room with every type of fitness equipment you can imagine. Bikes, treadmills, we've got free weights, machines. Then we've got 2 fitness rooms. One that's for spin classes and cycling, and then one that's just an open room we can use for anything. Zumba, any kind of class you want to teach.
So why don't you explain what spin room is?
The spin room is designed with recombinant bicycles that you ride in everybody rides at the same time. You can actually do a class. There's an instructor up front, and you're standing, sitting, pedaling. I couldn't keep up for the first 2 minutes, so
in other words,
it's really
you're going
challenging.
to burn off a lot of calories in this room.
You'll burn off in that spin room. You can burn off calories like you can't believe.
Now, one of the things that we did learn when we were around in Virginia Beach is that they didn't have enough outlet flexibility.
Right.
So what we did triple the amount of outlets. So if a new technology comes out with different types of equipment, we'll have power all over the place instead of having cords all over.
Right, and what we did was we laid out the fitness center once we knew the square footage and the dimensions, and then we had our fitness consultant come in and tell us where to put all the outlets for all the equipment that's got to be plugged in.
So these metal plates on the walls behind the scene, these are all the flat screen televisions that are going to go in. I think there's a total of 56 flat screen televisions throughout the building.
I believe that's right, and they're be configured to watch regular TV, for emergency broadcasts. We can put message board-like information on there. We can even show PCTV if we want.
There you go, or the Super Bowl.
Or the Super Bowl.
Or any sports thing. But this is, just visualize this packed to the gills with equipment gym in here. and the noise, and you know, it was really well thought out in here. And I think there's going to be a lot of ceiling fans in here.
There are. We learned that in Virginia Beach too, and it wasn't in their fitness center that we saw it. We saw it in their dance studio.
Yeah.
And we decided to put the big ceiling fans in to keep air circulation a little bit better, and it'll keep everything kind of moving, and the room will smell a little cleaner all the time.
Yeah. And that's critical here. So, and then obviously these windows that are going to be behind are going to face Park Avenue, facing due south. So there's going to be a lot of natural light coming in here.
Yeah.
So we're going to now go over to some of the other multi-purpose rooms. So this is the room to really get your cardiovascular system going, right, John?
That it is. This is the dance studio.
So for those people that, this, as you can see, there's like about 4 inches difference between the concrete and where the lip is, because this is going to be a wooden floor.
Right, same type of floor as we're going to use in the gymnasium, but it'll have a little bit better cushioning in it for the dance floor.
And then as we spoke a little earlier, there's going to be a lot of ceiling fans in here, additional lighting here. But this is another one, I think, I forget whether this one gets partitioned or whatever.
This one will have a partition. If we want to do 2 separate classes, 2 entrances, that way we can do it that way. And we can have the partition up as well and have one big class.
And I think this is where also you can do Pilates classes and
do
things
that
of
in
that
here.
nature.
You can do anything you can do on a normal studio, you can do it here. In fact, as the mayor mentioned before, we could do martial arts in here if we want to.
That's right. Yeah.
Because we'll have mats in here for that purpose.
Yeah, which is good because it's allowed flexibility. So the windows, these windows over here face Park Avenue. This faces Route 18 Hose Lane towards Resurrection Cemetery. So as you can see, the drywall is up in most of here, with the exception by where the windows still have to be installed in a month, and then once that happens, then they'll do the drywall in this room.
Correct.
So the room we're in now is nearest Park Avenue side of the building facing due south. This is actually the emergency management room operations center for, obviously, if there's an emergency. That's right, this is an evacuation site, so we have a facility here for police, fire, EMS, emergency management in general, right out here. So if there's all hands on deck event, we'll have an operation nerve center right here.
Right, and we designed this room, again, thinking ahead. We have outlets and internet connections everywhere in this room, so we can plug in as many computers as we need to keep operations for the township running.
That's right, and that's a critical portion. So right next door to the emergency management office is the teen center. You want to talk a little bit about the teen center?
Sure, the teen center. We designed this thinking that teens in Piscataway needed somewhere to go sometime, so we're going to make this as friendly an environment for them as we can. We've designed it for computers, for video games. We're going to have a pool table in here potentially, foosball. We're going to have everything just so they can relax. Plus, they're also going to be able to come in here and do homework. There's going to be an area with desks set up and tables. Kids can do homework, they can study. It's kind of going to be something that every teen in Piscataway is going to get use out of if they choose to.
And that's the critical portion, because over the years, when we had the old youth center on Lakeview Avenue, which was obviously antiquated and a fire hazard, so that's why there was always going to be a component and part of the community center to have a teen center. It's about a 2,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's about
right
that.
here.
And this room is bigger than our entirety of our old youth center, just this single room.
Just this one room. So that just gives people now who are adults who may have used the old youth center now actually have a visual of what this is about. So we're standing almost in the middle of the art studio here, and this is going to be used for art classes.
Right, art classes, we can do
Black box
lessons
theater.
in here. You can do anything you want because of the way the space, again, was designed. It's designed to be an open space that can be shifted around to be a smaller space.
So if they want to have painting classes, teaching painting classes, or if you want to have a what they call a small black box theater event, you can have that. As you can see, the room is just starting to take shape because they're using half of the studio right now for storage for the HCC piping. So once that's all been installed, then they're going to frame out the rest of the building, and you'll see that enclosure right there. So that pretty much concludes the interior portion of going around here and the interior of the community center. So now we're going to go outside for a surprise for the first time on television. So let's go outside. So we're outside, and this is not, we're outside by the parking lot. You see the excavators behind us, and you would probably think, oh, they're building more parking, right, John?
Right.
I mean,
That's
most parts they think of parking.
Looks like a parking lot.
But when we first designed the community center, we thought we'd always wanted an outdoor component. We didn't know if we would have the money to do it, but we actually engineered, designed it for an outdoor component. I am happy on behalf of the Township Council and myself, and as well as the Recreation Department, to announce the first time that the general public's hearing about this is that we're actually going to have a outdoor spray park out here. So John, you might want to talk a little bit about it.
Well, what a spray park is it's a pad where water shoots up. We'll have a piece that dunks water on you as well. And it's just a great outdoor component in the summertime for kids, especially for kids who aren't ready to swim yet, that are afraid to maybe go in the pools because they're a little deeper. They get to be outside, they can get wet, have some fun. We'll have outdoor bathrooms out here so you don't have to go into the building to access bathrooms. So it's going to be a great component for summer fun. And Mayor, on behalf of the residents of the town, I'm thankful that you could get this done under the original construction.
Yeah, and I think the significance of this is that the water, it's actually the filtration system, the water's going to be reused.
Right, it's a recycled system. So the water goes up, comes back in, filters through a fourth filtering system. It's not tied into our pools. It's got its own system to filter through again.
So you're going to see shots on the TV of the aerial looking down, and behind us is they're actually building a restroom facility for the spray park over there and a storage area too. So there's actually going to be exterior cabana netting out here all over the place. The outer perimeter where you see these retaining walls is actually going to be the seating area and picnic benches here out in this whole area. So the thought process is that if somebody wanted like a birthday party here, you know, there's going to be separate areas where they'll be like designated off.
Right, and they'll be able to have some separate space, still using all the facility and do something outside. Or for people who are here on their lunch hour and just want to sit here and eat their lunch here.
Yeah, that's the key.
It's going to be a beautiful outdoor spot.
But I am so happy. I think this is probably going to be in the top 5 in the state for the size of the actual spray park.
It has to be. I can't think of anybody that has one that's bigger than ours.
Yeah, and this is all state-of-the-art, and the most important thing environmentally, it's all going to be, with the amount of water that we're going to be using, it's all going to be a recycle regeneration system. So basically, we're gonna have the entrance from coming off the building, and we're going to have a service entrance off of Stockton Street behind us to go there. But you know, you're going to have nothing but sky here during the summertime, and then obviously there'll be shading areas out here within it.
Yeah, we have a shelter that we're going to build out there, so you can sit under the shelter too. And there's some smaller tables with umbrellas around the area. So sun or shelter you can have.
But there's actually going to be sort of like playground. There's going to be playground equipment inside the thing that are all going to be tied into the water system that.
And it has the water sprays out of it. It's a great system.
It's going to be really neat. We're going to end up showing a architect's drawing, and I want to thank Henry Hinterstein, our landscape architect for the town, to helping work with the companies to come up with a design out here. But this is going to be really neat. I can actually envision myself going out there and just sitting in a beach chair and just getting some spray on me in a swimsuit. So I just wish I was 40 years younger, maybe 50 years younger all over again. So, but for all those kids though, this is the first time you're hearing it. We're going to have Piscataway's own spray park as part of the community center. So that basically concludes our outdoor view of the community center, and obviously the rest is going to be parking, and then we have the stormwater detention system on the other side, on the Stockton Street side. But so we're very fortunate, as John said, that we saved a lot of money under this, the current construction to come up with money to actually build the spray park instead of as a separate contract down the road. So, which is good. So now they're going to be taking down the green coverings on the fencing here, so people will be able to see this actually being constructed. They should have the concrete pad finished before winter, and then the equipment actually has been ordered and expecting delivery in early April.
Right, and it's just like putting in a playground, so it'd take about 4 or 5 weeks to put it in.
Yeah, so right around first week of May, then everything should be finished out here.
Yes, it should.
In time for when we have the opening at some point in May.
Correct.
So May of 2020.
Right.
So thank you for watching this, and then periodically maybe we'll do another walkthrough in maybe February or so, and a lot more will be finished on the inside.
Things will be enclosed. You'll get to actually see what the actual layouts of most of the building will be.
Okay. So we're going to go back to the studio now.
Well, I hope people enjoyed that sort of virtual tour.
That was an impressive tour.
I love the designer hard hat, John.
Well, Mayor That Hard Hat's seen a few projects in this town over the years, so.
Yeah. But let's talk about the spray park for a few minutes before we go to some announcements. I guess the timeline we're looking at, the concrete flooring's going to be poured before Christmas.
Correct.
And we have already ordered all the equipment for there, which is being manufactured.
Right. We're in final design phase right now, doing just some final engineering on drainage and where the water will be located, and then the equipment will be
Yeah, because
manufactured based
the
on that.
piping has to go in underground.
Right, and that's all got to get done before the concrete gets poured.
Yeah.
Right.
But what's very interesting that it's actually going to be a very sophisticated filtration system, because it's going to be chlorine water, and because you could be reusing it, people go there.
Right.
So that's one of the ways. It's not like some of the other spray parks in the state where the water's gone
Right.
and down the drain, where ours is being recycled
yeah.
and being reused because it's going through a regular pool system,
That's great.
which was quite unique.
Yeah. Aren't we also, too, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to be putting in some charging stations,
Yes,
too?
I believe, was it 6 first and up to 9
Right, we're starting with 6, and we have the ability to expand to 12.
to 12?
Oh,
Yes.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, so
That's-
that'll all be located in the very front of the building.
Right.
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 And they're going to be designed so any type of electric vehicle will be able to use them. And the system we'll use, it'll be a link to credit card type system
That's
where
right.
that's how you
Mo-
pay.
Most of the charging stations that you see,
Yeah,
and that's a conjunction, as Councilwoman Cahill knows, that the town council, at the urging of Councilman Khan at the time, added that as part of our municipal land use ordinance to have that
Absolutely.
in development over X, Y, and Z.
That's right. A lot of our companies, some of them had already done on their own. I can think of like
Now
maybe
Verizon was just the last one just
That's
to start,
right.
so.
That's right.
And then SHI, the Rockerfeller Center
Yep,
installed
yep.
that, so.
And as the price obviously comes down on those cars, the demand is there. I mean, obviously Piscataway has a lot of very conscientious residents are concerned, but affordability is the thing. But here we have the capacity to service our residents who do have it now and then in the future. Speaking of residents, for the community center, I know way back when this idea was born, we went out to residents and had this great idea of, at the time I think it was donate some money for a brick. But I think we're converting that sort of to a wall.
Yeah, that'll be a wall in the main, I believe, main
main
foyer, John.
entrance.
Right.
Yeah, in the main foyer when you walk in.
Right, so that the names of those people have donated, and I think we're gonna put something up on the township website so that
That's
folks
right.
still wanna do it, there's limited time.
Yeah, there's gonna be a cutoff. I think the cutoff, John, is gonna be the end of December.
Yeah, because it's going to take a couple months to build and design the wall
Right,
and then put it in place.
right.
Yeah.
But for residents who may not have either known about it at the time or forgotten about it, but now that we have the community
This is
center.
final call.
This is the final call. And then you'll have this great plaque to commemorate, either your family name or maybe you want to do it in memory of somebody, whatever. But I think that's an awesome idea. I know my neighbors years ago, Warren and Wendy Zimmerman, donated, and they're super excited to see the community center come to its completion and early.
And that's true. And then we're also, as one of the components is, we've spoken with the Public Relations Commission and the Rec Department. We're gonna have a Hall of Fame inside there too, with some of the students who've made well in the professional sports over here.
Yes, we're gonna sit down with Public Relations and the Piscataway Township Athletic Department and come up with a list of the students who have gone on to professional athletic careers, and we'll not memorialize, that's not the word I
Yeah.
want to use. We'll recognize them
Yes.
in some way inside the facility.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
And I
great.
believe, Councilman, we're also gonna be doing a time capsule there outside.
Oh, that's great.
So that'll be out in a concrete
Yep.
block to be open like maybe 50 plus years from now or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's
So
awesome.
that'll we're going to have a little discussion about what should be put in a time capsule.
Right, right.
So because you don't know in this day and age, like you can't really put electronics in because 50 years from now they may not have something to
Yeah.
use to actually put
Yeah.
it. So you might have to put.
Maybe it'd be a good idea
Books
too,
and
is to ask the residents or, the kids in school too, maybe come up with some ideas to put it in there. That'd be great.
Yeah. So we got some more video feed here. We're gonna go to the clip for the dedication of the on Baekeland Avenue that just
Right.
happened recently with the Board of Chosen Freezers. So we're gonna go to the videotape.
What may seem as a small culvert bridge here, county culvert bridge, is going to be the catalyst for a lot of economic development here in Piscataway Township in Middlesex Borough, as well as the county of Middlesex. I want to publicly thank the Board of Chosen Freeholders for funding this project here, which is going to be great news for the township residents and to businesses that are further down the road at the logistics center.
I know we've all been looking forward to the results of this project. After 10 months, we're very proud to reopen this area over Ambrose Brook and unveil this new bridge. I say we're proud because this rebuilding has been a partnership between Middlesex County, Piscataway, and the Borough of Middlesex. On behalf of the Board of Chosen Freeholders, I thank both municipalities for their hard work and their contributions towards this project. When county government collaborates with municipalities, we can leverage our shared experience and resources to create a better environment for us all. Our combined efforts led not only to a new and safer bridge, but to 800 feet of new roadway and a sidewalk, which the former bridge didn't have. We're also proud to have received $2 million from the state of New Jersey's Local Bridge Fund Future Need Program, which lowered the cost burden to our local taxpayers.
As the director said, there's nothing that we love to do more than collaborate and work with the 25 towns here in Middlesex County. In this case, Middlesex Borough and Piscataway. Anything that we can do to help stimulate economic growth, which is what's going to happen with this bridge being repaired, improve the safety for the residents, is a great thing.
All right, ready? 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, there we go. All right, open up the barricades.
Well, I can't say enough about thanking the Board of Chosen Freeholders. These repair of these very old culverts just don't happen overnight.
Right.
And sometimes, maybe to the frustration of the general public, whether you live in Piscataway or any other part of Middlesex County, is
Right.
that these projects can anywhere take from 8 to 10 years from the time they start an outside consultant to design it because of the regulatory process. If there's right-of-way that needs to be acquired, I know Middlesex Borough and Piscataway had to acquire some right-of-way out there, and it took for about 2 years in the regulatory process, and then wherever they were in their capital budgeting right at the time. So, but that bridge out there basically is going to last another 75 years.
And that's really like the beginning of what the rest of, Baekeland Avenue should be completed as it comes and meanders down all the way to River Road over by where the Best Buy warehouse is.
And
our
that
others.
is an excellent point. As I said in my comments at the ribbon cutting, that roadway and the bridge out there is going to be such a catalyst for economic development.
Right.
And you can't attract business and industry back there if you have a very dilapidated network system for the traffic circulation element. And it's very, as you said about the entire stretch of Baekeland Avenue, half of it's Middlesex Borough, half of it's us. It's, we're in engineering design right now, but the bottom line is that the road needs to be fixed. It's arguably the worst street in both Middlesex Borough and in Piscataway Township.
Right.
You're talking probably a $7 million road out there to be reconstructed. That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Fortunately, a good chunk of that's going to be coming from the Rockerfeller group, which we're going to get into in a few minutes
Right.
about that. And that would not take place because there's only X amount of capital dollars, as you know, Councilwoman, and as John Tierney knows as a recreation director, every year amongst the taxpayers' budget.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of streets and that need to be fully reconstructed, and they can be quite expensive to do that.
Right.
And,
And it's a street that probably the average resident isn't really utilizing, but the investment in that street is a huge payoff. I mean, we obviously with the development down there where Best Buy is and the others are, I think SHI, KISS is there. somebody else, I don't know if we can mention them yet, who
Yeah.
came in, but where now you can have the tractor trailers making their deliveries really come from, off 287 into a space where you're not affecting residents as much.
That's correct.
And really, once that is completed, even the folks who are on that more northerly side of River Road at the end of Piscataway there, who are concerned about that complex going there, once it's completed, you should probably see some of that truck traffic really alleviated, because really that entrance over onto 287 on the other side is better, over by First Ave, I think it is.
That's true. But more importantly is, and I think maybe what we'll do, I have a point to make about your comment, but I think I'll discuss that right when we go to the next video feed. We're going to cue that up now.
Today's the culmination of 4 years of a partnership with Piscataway, Middlesex County, and all of our contractors, engineers, consultants, attorneys that really worked hard to make this project happen. It's really taking an old petrochemical site, repurposing it and turning it into a modern facility.
We closed in May of 2017, developed 2.1 million square feet of Class A warehouse distribution space with Class A tenants and owner occupants. We have Best Buy here, who was our first tenant, through Human Scale and Fujitsu. Again, SHI and how cooperative and they've been here. And then last but not least, Kuehne + Nagel. And at the end of the day, we're going to have close to 1,500 plus or minus jobs that have been created.
The challenge of mayors across this country is what to do with brownfields, how to get them cleaned up, how to put them back on the economic rolls. And I want to thank the folks at Rockerfeller for thinking out of the box and coming to Piscataway. Congratulations to all the businesses here. Thank you for considering Piscataway as your new corporate site, and to all the employees that are going to be working here, we welcome you with open arms and consider Piscataway a second home.
Well, Councilwoman, as you know, one of the biggest challenges for local officials around the state of New Jersey is how you go about reconstituting brownfield sites to put them back to productive use and not impact the community. And with the exception of some folks that have lived here 30 plus years or more in the town, don't remember that, when it was Baekeland Industries and/or Union Carbide or Dow, that they were running 3 shifts. At one time, there was 5,000 employees there a day coming in and out.
Right.
And, for the last 10 to 15 years, it's been a vacant site, challenging site to get back on the tax rolls. We weren't seeing any taxes at all coming out of there. And now you have a most state-of-the-art logistics center, which, by the way, they actually are not having a lot of deliveries there because the type of businesses that moved in there, they build things inside. Like SHI builds computer racking system for data centers.
Right.
So they're not necessarily it's not like an Amazon type site.
That's right.
With the exception of the UPS trucks that come in for
Right.
Best Buy and things like that. Yeah. But, you have a very good clean site, and as the owner said, they're expecting 1,500 good paying jobs out there that are community people can apply for, and I know a lot of residents that have applied and now work there, which they didn't in the past. So it's actually a good thing. We also have done something very creative out there. And as John Tierney knows, if it wasn't for that, we'd still be with a hole in the ground for the community center, because that is paying a substantial portion of the revenue in the community center. And all the taxation districts within, between the county, the school district, and the fire district are all seeing revenue out of that site that they've never seen before. So, which is a very good thing.
Right. Well, I think, you know what? It's important for townships to look to partner with, corporations in the town. How can they partner with townships to support the youth? I mean, ultimately, in this town, you can see that the investment in our children is like a high priority,
Yes.
top priority. And I think it's a great idea. We need to do more of it.
Well, as you brought about before, we went to this commercial with the Baekeland Avenue. That site is actually paying for a substantial portion of the reconstruction.
Right.
The challenging thing is half of it's in Middlesex, half of it's in Piscataway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we still have to continue to have to sit down with Middlesex, and
Right.
then if we ever get the Conrail ever squared away with the railroad crossings and the easements we need out there,
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to be calling Congressman Pallone to help us out on that one. But you know what? That's something that's long overdue, and it's probably going to win some awards out there for thinking out of the box on how to adaptive use out there.
Sure.
And I'm just happy that we're able to accomplish going to be fixing the road out there, building the community center, putting more revenue in the revenue stream for local taxation districts and basically for the general taxpayers, and having availability of some jobs out there and
Right.
a clean site, because that was a petrochemical site.
Right. Right.
But for those history buffs out there, the significance of that site was that was the old site of where they had a area where it was called Telegraph Road, and that was the center where they had antennas for Voice of America during World War II
No kidding.
and during the early 50s. So everything was broadcasted, beamed out of Piscataway there out to over for like Radio Free Europe.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
there's a lot of history on that site out there.
Right.
Yeah, so that was one of the comments I made to when the new owners out there, they don't necessarily know the history of the Piscataway Township
Yeah.
during WW2, but that's a very good thing. So, but John, talking about the community center, what is some of the type of programming that we anticipate out of there?
Well, we obviously anticipate dance classes and martial arts classes in there because we have rooms dedicated to them, fitness classes. We're also going to there'll be adult sports classes and youth sports classes, adult sport leagues. When we have our management team set and ready to go, we'll sit down with them and we'll discuss what recreation is going to run for the township, what they're going to run through the community center for the township. That way we're not crossing over each other and running double programs. And we'll probably bring in the library director as well as the senior director because they're going to offer the same kind of programs that those are offering. So we can not cross over each other, plus we can maybe get more out of everything because that center I think is going to take, when we get it open with our management company, well over 100 positions between full-time and part-time.
And that's
Right.
one of the things we're going to be sitting down with some of the school district, because there's going to be need to have a lot of part-time hires out there.
Oh, sure.
Especially high school aged,
Yeah.
students and
As-
stuff.
And what a great opportunity, for high school kids to have a part-time job right in town.
Yeah.
Right, and one of the big places they're going to hopefully be able to get part-time jobs is an area we actually didn't show them on the video. It's going to be our child care area. We have a nice child care area designed.
And that's right, we didn't show that on the video because the construction management company and the contractor are using that as a office
As their
right now.
office, yeah.
Right, because where the offices were is now where our spray park is, so we
Yeah.
had to kind of configure things a little different. But that'll be a great opportunity for high school age kids and college age kids who go to Rutgers, Middlesex County, to get part-time jobs working there as well.
Yeah, it's anything, if you go to any pool or on the beach or whatever, you always need a lot of lifeguards. And that tendency by nature has a high turnover.
Right, and what you get is generally with lifeguards, because we've had a pool before, so we have some background on it, you get them for 2, 3, maybe 4 years, and then they're gone, they're out of college, so they're doing something new. So that's when you have to regenerate your pool of lifeguards.
Yeah, that's going to be probably the most challenging thing once the building's finished is actually staffing levels. Because you're talking a building that's going to be open probably at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning up until 11 o'clock at night. And I think there was going to be like a 4 or 5 hour window to allow the cleaning of the facility.
Right, yeah, you're looking at a building that's likely to be open 15 to 17 hours a day So you have to cover the building for all its uses, aquatics,
Yep.
Dance, your youth center, your child care area. So everything's going to have to be covered. It's going to be a lot of part-time positions there.
And, you know, people don't realize is that it'll be a tendency to be a very big beehive right there because you're going to have to constantly keep cleaning during the day. You're not going to be able to shut down. But so it's going to be a lot of.
But you know, too, is maybe not just our high school and college residents, but maybe even those who are newly retired, or maybe those who are not so newly retired, who might want to do a little something. It's probably a great opportunity for somebody a little bit older to have a part-time job, you know, stay involved in town.
Well, I think that ties in very well with its location because we have our senior center and our senior housing right there.
Right.
And a lot of people that live in the senior housing are younger seniors now. And maybe they're looking for something part-time that they can
Oh,
go
and they
over
can
do.
walk. Oh,
Walk
gosh.
right over.
This is going to be just fabulous.
But, you know, I just, that is going to be the biggest challenge we're going to have is the staffing level.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's going to take us a long time with the management company to sit down and figure out the numbers and how many we're going to need at different times and where we're going to find them.
Yeah, but I think that there's a lot of excitement out there. You know, it's kind of funny, like our office, you know, the mayor's office keeps getting calls from groups saying, you know, can we rent out the pool right now?
Yeah.
It's not even finished.
Yeah, and residents coming up with ideas. I think we talked about this. I don't know that we could do it indoors, but we have them at our parks. Is the pickleball?
Yes.
That apparently is now there's
It's-
leagues.
yes.
It's for older residents. Maybe maybe the fittings for the volleyball could work also for that indoors, but we don't know. But you know, everyone is coming up. They're super excited about it, and that's a good thing. It's a good headache to have.
Yeah, and we're going to close out the show, but I want to remind the residents that leaf bags are still available. DPW is picking up the leaf bags. We'll be picking them up till December 31st.
Right.
Also, don't forget Veterans Day is on Monday coming up. We want to thank our vets for all their commitment and serving our great country. And then obviously we want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving up there and to be thankful for everything in this country. So with that, we're going to close out the show, and we'll see you in December. If it's December, that's Santa Claus.
That's right. Santa's coming.
That's right. Well, great job.